Will Sony finally have an answer for Game Pass and backwards compatibility? Let's just go ahead and hop right into it together as a people and check it out! And welcome to another Sensational Sunday. I'm Mike, and this week we are talking all about Sony. So we got another legendary rumor coming out of Bloomberg. Yes, I don't know what they do all day other than rumors. I don't even know what the site's for. They just come out with rumors sometimes. Basically, the rumor is Sony is finally working on their answer to Game Pass. Now, people have been wanting this for a while since, Microsoft started doing Game Pass. Because with Sony's library, imagine that with a Game Pass type subscription service. So let's just go over exactly what this rumor says. So to start off, the rumor is going to be 3 tiers, with the base tier being PlayStation Plus as it is now, where you can play online and you get your free games every month. And then they're going to have a second tier, which is going to be PS4 and PS5 games. And then the rumored third tier is going to be all that stuff plus old school games from the PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP. And then they also may bundle in the streaming component because if you don't know, which I don't blame you if you don't, Sony has had PlayStation Now for a long time, which is another reason they're probably wanting to do this whole subscription-based thing. So that's what the current rumor is. I'm going to kind of break it down and kind of give you my opinion on the whole thing. And you got to have to go back, way back to the PS2 and the Xbox era. So Xbox Live really started on the original Xbox, and Halo 2 is kind of that marquee title that pushed people to get Xbox Live. I mean, I got Xbox Live when Halo 2 launched back in 2004. So yeah, that was a thing. That was enough of a game to get people to do Xbox Live. But also Xbox Live, even though it wasn't integrated in the system level like it would be later with the 360 and the Xbox One and the Series X now, it still offered kind of a unified friends list. It was a much cleaner experience than what I experienced with the PS2, which was literally like every game you had to create an account, blah, blah, blah. So Microsoft really had something with Xbox Live. They knew that going into the 360, where they made it like a system integrated feature and it became the thing to get. It really was the first time that they had this kind of unifying experience on consoles. The PS3 launch, they weren't even really close to having features that matched what Xbox Live was doing. It would take them several years to get to the point where they were feature parity with Xbox Live. And then there was also achievements, which the Xbox 360 launched with. And then it took them a little while to get trophies going. Originally, just getting into the space, the online space was really a reaction to what Microsoft was doing. So with this Game Pass thing, or them having this rumor about Game Pass, it makes a lot of sense to me that they probably would do this because they still got to stay competitive. Even though the PS4 kind of stomped the Xbox One last generation, the Xbox One still sold a decent bit. It still sold around 38 million, I believe. So that's not nothing. And obviously they know about these features. They know about the backwards compatibility. So it would make sense if they want to do this. Now, if we go further a little bit, I don't want to give Microsoft all the credit. When they finally launched PlayStation Plus, it was a weird thing because PS3 games were free to play online. You didn't have to have a subscription like you did on the Xbox. So when they launched their subscription service, they basically gave you the free games, the 2 free games per month. And that's kind of what started this free games thing to begin with. So really, yes, Xbox Live did influence a lot of PSN, but you can say PlayStation kind of started the whole games being included with the subscription service, this trend that we're going with now. And then of course, years later, Microsoft will respond around the time they're about to go into the Xbox One / PS4 era around 2013, and they would start games for gold where you would get 2 free games per month. So I think Microsoft knew that they were in a spot where they were going to have to match that. But a lot of the stuff related to services, Microsoft is generally better at, because of the way they had to build PSN without planning for it. We didn't even get name changes until 2019. You couldn't even change your PSN name for the longest time, a feature that was day one on the Xbox 360. You can go in and change your name. Took us an extra 14 years to get that on the PlayStation side. And then it said it could cause issues with some of your save data. So it's a little bit of a mess. It's been rocky, but overall, you can't argue with the games. And Sony, definitely last generation, did a lot better with games. So the thing that I'm wondering is, are they going to have day one launches available on their subscription service. Because for Sony versus Microsoft, that's way different, because Sony makes a lot more first-party titles, at least right now. You know, Microsoft did buy a bunch of companies, but Sony has some really big titles, especially during the PS4 era. And like going into the PS5, they already got, you know, Spider-Man Miles Morales, which is cross-gen, but you know, Sackboy's Big Adventure. They got that new Ratchet and Clank. Would those be titles that would just be available on the subscription service? If it's going to be the same price as like Game Pass Ultimate, which is $15 a month, then I'm kind of looking at it like, dang, I can get the Uncharted series. If they go back to PS3, you would have like Resistance, you know, we have Demon Souls. There's a bunch of games that they would have that are PlayStation exclusive. Like they almost have enough games where they wouldn't even need to get third parties involved if they did the subscription service. Their back catalog is way deeper than what Xbox has, because I mean, you know, they were already a system ahead of them. Like last generation first party titles, they were just bumping them out. I think the only way that this service makes sense is not just having the back catalog, but doing what Microsoft does, and your new games will be on the service. I mean, think about this. MLB The Show this year, a Sony produced game. Obviously their deal with the MLB changed, so they had to make it multi-platform. How embarrassing to Sony do you think it was that on the Xbox, on Game Pass, you could get this game included with your subscription, but on Sony's PlayStation, the platform that they make with the game that they technically made, you still had to pay the full $60 for it. You had Microsoft kind of outclassing them with their own game, which is, it's kind of embarrassing. So I think that was probably a wake-up call for them too. I mean, obviously this has probably been in the works for a long time. Not to mention the fact that they put out Horizon Zero Dawn on PC, which I thought was extremely weird. And then they later purchased a company that focuses on PC ports. Then they announced God of War is coming to PC soon. So they're basically following Microsoft. Like they started putting all their games out on PC day and date. On Game Pass, they built all the stuff last generation when no one was really paying attention to the Xbox, and they had to do something to compete. And now that we're in this COVID era, I'm just going to say it, where everything's just selling out because, I don't know, the world's crazy and everyone's just buying everything. It's going to be hard to see how it's going to shake out this generation, because basically any system that's made is just going to sell out instantly. So there's no clear indication of, once systems are readily available, who's really going to have the lead. So if Sony plans on competing, then they really do need a Game Pass alternative. If Xbox does get the lead and everybody's like, oh, I got Game Pass, so what do you got on PlayStation? That might sway people to go over to Xbox, so they're getting all these games included in a subscription. Like if you really want to, like for real, depending on what you play, you could just get the Xbox and get Game Pass and never really worry about buying games. And you have a whole bunch of games to play. Like you buy the system, Game Pass comes with it. Like it comes with a Game Pass free trial. You got hundreds of games to play off of launch. And that's really a good value when you look at it. Like I bought the PlayStation. Yeah, I got Astro's Playroom, and that game was fun. And you know, whatever was on PlayStation Plus, but it's not the same. It's really not the same. It's just off the bat having hundreds of games to play. I think there's just a lot of things that are going to factor into this. I definitely think it is going to happen though. The part that I'm kind of weary about is the backwards compatibility, or not really backwards compatibility in this case, but making those older games available as part of the subscription service. So back when I did that news video about why I thought basically that Sony was going to put themselves in a position where they're forced to do backwards compatibility, and that was mainly because I know they want to kill off the PS3. They don't want to keep those servers around forever, so they really got to do something to make those games playable. But if Sony's going to do this and make this a part of their subscription service, I don't think that's what people really want as far as the retro games. Like, it's a great add-in, and I'm fine with them doing this, as long as any games that they add to the service, they allow you to also just put your disc in there and play it without having the service. Like if they're really going to do the work to make these games playable, then they need to do what Microsoft did and basically be like, you know what, if you have the disc, you can just put your disc in there and then you can play the game. I mean, it's not literally playing from the disc in most cases, you're downloading a version of the game. But yeah, I don't think it's going to go over well unless they also be like, you know what, yeah, this is part of our subscription service, so if you don't own these games, it's a great time to play them. But if you still have copies of these games, you can now put them in your PS5 or PS4, and you can play them. I think that would be the best way to handle it. This part of the rumor is true. I don't really think Sony's going to do that. They just kind of have this whole thing where they misread the room sometimes, kind of like Nintendo and their online services in general, and them charging more than double to play some N64 games. Like, come on, I can emulate N64 games by accident. I could just walk into a room and turn on a light switch like, oops, I accidentally emulated N64. You expect me to pay $50 a year, I was technically $80 a year because I have the family plan, versus $35 because you put some old crusty games that I can literally download in like 10 seconds on the service. Anyway, I got sidetracked. But the whole thing is, yes, I don't know what it is about Sony misreading the room, but I could see them possibly doing that and then having to backtrack on it or figure out some other way to do it where people don't get mad. I think people would probably be mad about that aspect of it. Like if they have a disc, right, and they want to just play it, but they can't unless they get this subscription service, I don't think it's gonna bode too well. But that kind of goes along with what I said in that previous video where I was talking about the backwards compatibility. Or it might have been a follow-up video I made on it where I said, you know, if it happens, it might not happen in the way that we want it to. And this is kind of the example if it does go down this way where it's just part of the subscription service. Either way, to wrap everything back up, basically the rumor is they're gonna have a 3-tier subscription service with first tier being PlayStation Plus as it is now, second tier with PS4 and PS5 games, and the third tier PS4, PS5, PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games. Vita wasn't mentioned for some reason. But yeah, I don't know. If they do that, it'd be crazy. I'd be excited to see what the pricing is and what the availability is and if they're going to do day one releases. But, you know, until we hear something official, we don't know. This is all just rumors. I just think it's kind of fun to talk about and speculate, and we'll see if this actually goes anywhere, if this comes to fruition at all. I think that they will have some kind of Game Pass competitor, but how that turns out, I don't know. But what I do know is I'm bringing this video to a conclusion, but if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell notification to get notified when I drop a video, and always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace.